is Taiwan Insider, the weekly news magazine brought to you by Radio Taiwan International. I'm Natalie So.
And I'm Leslie Liao, sitting in for Andrew Ryan. Here's your Week in a Minute.
President Tsai traveled to the outlying island of Jinmen to mark 61 years since the Second Taiwan Strait crisis. Tsai said that without the fortitude the island showed during the crisis, Taiwan would not exist as the thriving democracy it is today. Taiwanese startup iAuto is one of the 3 finalists competing in the Dubai World Challenge for self-driving transport. iAuto is the only East Asian company in the finals. Prosecutors have charged 13 people in connection with a cigarette smuggling operation. The 13 plan to use customs privileges associated with President Tsai's overseas trip in July, but authorities got wind of the operation before it could be carried out. The government is offering subsidies to domestic travelers beginning September 1st. The move is aimed at helping the tourism industry weather a drop in Chinese tourist numbers as Beijing bans its citizens from traveling to Taiwan outside a group. Move over avocado toast. Tainan's Danei district is the place where Taiwan grows its avocados. It's now home to avocado sauce, tea, soap, and even mosquito repellent, all made from local produce. And that's your Week in a Minute.
Every week at the top of our show, we each come up with a word of the week to describe the news this week. So would you like to guess my word?
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
Wayward. We welcome. I got it. Welcoming.
That's
welcoming.
right.
Sorry.
Welcoming.
Okay. I forgot
All
the
right. So Taiwan is welcoming a lot of Taiwanese companies back from China as a result of the U.S.-China trade war. We'll be telling you more about how the trade war is affecting Taiwan. Also, we have an interview with an accessibility consultant at the National Concert Hall who will tell us how they're doing some special relaxed performances that are welcoming people of all ages and with all kinds of disabilities to enjoy art in Taiwan. And also a new nation and basketball team is welcoming Jeremy Lin. We'll be telling you more about that.
All right, Natalie, are you ready to guess
my
word?
Yes, I do. I am.
All right, here we go.
Pimple? No. Pinnacle?
That's right.
Oh.
Pinnacle. Ooh, you are good. All right, so I chose Pinnacle because recently there have been the G7 summit meetings.
That's right.
At which the U.S.-China trade war has been a very, very prominent topic. And we're going to be talking to you about that. Also, in Taiwan by number, I'm going to be talking to you about mountains, which are pinnacles in the literal sense. And lastly, in hashtag, I'm going to be talking to you about Jeremy Lin, who said that he felt like he was at rock bottom, but he may be reaching new heights. Plus, you know what? While you're here, I'm not going to let you leave without asking you, do you know where in Taiwan this is? So, murals have become a very popular way of attracting visitors to rural Taiwan. There are over 100 of them in villages scattered throughout the island. Where in Taiwan is this particular one? You'll have to wait to the end of our show to find out.
We now turn to our top story. There have been a lot of dramatic twists and turns over the U.S.-China trade war this week. Stock markets have fallen and risen. Leaders have made threats and unforgettable comments like this.
But one thing I have to do is economically take on China. Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning.
Not long after that comment, though, President Trump did say that trade talks would resume. However, for now, it looks like both sides will be following through on threats to raise tariffs, which will start on Sunday, September 1st. China is set to apply 5 to 10% tariffs on $75 billion worth of goods from the U.S., and the U.S. is going to raise tariffs from the current 10% to 15% on $300 billion worth of Chinese goods.
So how is the trade war affecting Taiwan? Well, 57% of Taiwan's economy is reliant on exports, and the U.S. and China are Taiwan's major trade partners. So it is having a major impact, and I'll be telling you all about that in today's Taiwan Explained. In today's Taiwan Explained, I'm going to tell you how the U.S.-China trade war is affecting Taiwan's economy this year.
All right, Natalie, I got 60 seconds on the clock. Are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, you're on.
Okay, there's good news and bad news. Exports are down 2.9% overall so far this year, and they're down to China by 8.3%, but up to the U.S. by 18%. And in terms of GDP growth, there's also an up and down side. In a recent report, Goldman Sachs adjusted growth rates downward for the 4 Asian tigers, but Taiwan is leading the pack with a projected growth rate of 2.3% and the least adjustment downwards. And the trade war is also compelling many Taiwan businesses to come back from China. So far, they've invested nearly $18 billion in Taiwan, creating about 50,000 jobs. And we're also making progress in our goal to become Asia's Silicon Valley. Tech giants like Google, IBM, Microsoft, and Amazon are planning to set up new R&D centers here. They like Taiwan's high-tech talent and democratic society. Hey, I made it!
You beat it by like 3 seconds.
Yay!
Well, thank you so much, Natalie, for this week's Taiwan Explained. Next up, Taiwan by Number. Each week, we share with you a facet of life in Taiwan by way of a number. This week, I'm going to take you to scale some of Taiwan's mountains. Natalie, are you ready for your first question?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so coincidentally, Taiwan ranks in the same place in 2 categories. 1 is volume of high mountains, and 2 is density of high mountains. Do you care to guess what place we rank in for these 2 segments?
First in the world?
I'll have the answer to that question in a moment, but first I want to talk about Jade Mountain. It's Taiwan's highest peak, and it poses quite the challenge for many mountaineers. You might think you need a lot of experience or be very seasoned to summit that mountain, but I have a video here that proves the only thing you need is heart.
This 8-year-old boy is climbing Taiwan's tallest mountain, the nearly 4,000-meter Jade Mountain, all for the love of his late mother. They had planned to go up together one day, but she died last year, so he took her picture up with him. He believes Mommy is in heaven, so he went up to be closer to her. He made it all the way to the peak and screamed, "Mommy, I carried you to the peak of Jade Mountain." He fulfilled his promise to his mom 591 days after she passed away.
I took her to Taiwan's highest mountain.
You took Mommy to see the highest mountain, right?
The prettiest scenery.
He fought altitude sickness on the way, and his father wanted to take him home, but he was determined to make it to the top, to be closer to his mom.
My son lost one love in his life, so I hope that Daddy can give him even more love.
He's hoping Mommy will come see him more in his dreams now. Wow, I have 2 boys and I am so touched by that story.
I'm glad you made it through that video
Yeah,
because I was a little worried.
Cry.
I was a little worried. I know your mom. I was a little worried. Okay, so before the video, I asked you, where does Taiwan rank in terms of volume and density of high mountains? And you said
1.
number 1. Let's have a look at the answer.
That's right. I was right. I'm so happy.
That's right. You're absolutely right. We rank number 1. Can you believe that?
I think I remember hearing that.
Is that
we're
right?
the densest, like in terms of, the number of mountains and how dense they are, because we're not a big island.
Yeah.
In terms of all our mountains and population as well, the dense population too.
Okay, next question, Natalie. So in Taiwan, we have what we call the 100 peaks, or 百岳. And that's a list of the most challenging mountains and peaks, which are over 3,000 meters, compiled by a lot of enthusiasts. Now, Taiwan doesn't just have 100 peaks. Do you care to guess how many peaks in total we have over 3,000 meters?
Over 3,000?
Yeah, over 3,000 meters.
Maybe 200?
Maybe 200? All right, let's have a look at the answer right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, not too far.
286.
That's a lot.
I found that very impressive.
So the 100, are they the best ones to climb out of those 286?
They're the ones ranked by the mountaineers and the people who like to climb mountains. They're just like, hey, these are the ones that we recommend. But in reality, we have 286 peaks over 3,000 meters. For your reference, Japan, as in home of Mount Fuji, only has 21 peaks.
Wow, so we really do have a lot of mountains.
We do, lots of mountains. All right, question number 3, and this might seem a little harmless in the beginning, but I promise I'll make a point. So, what is Taiwan's mean or average elevation above sea level in meters?
I don't know, like 100? I have no
100
idea.
meters? All right, let's take a look at the answer right now.
Okay, see,
One-
I have no idea what I'm talking about, right?
So, I want you to imagine this. This is going to require a bit of imagination. So if we looked at Taiwan, the island, and we flattened everything out.
I see. Average out the peaks, right? I get it.
Everything's the same height. So if you go to the cliff, the edge of the island, and you look over that cliff, you look down, there's about 1,150 meters before you see the sea. Now, for your reference, Taipei 101, the tallest building in Taiwan, is 509 meters tall. So that means you would see 2 Taipei 101s worth of height before you hit the ocean with 100 meters worth of give or take. Yeah. Okay, next question, Natalie. So in order to summit Yusan Jade Mountain, you need to apply for a permit, right? And that permit is decided by a lottery, so it's totally random who gets in. Now, what % of applicants who apply to go in and climb Yusan are allowed in each year?
I'd say maybe 40%.
40%? All right, let's take a look at the answer. Oh, only 10%.
Wow.
10%.
Oh my gosh.
That's right. So the numbers are, on average, every year there are 500,000 applicants. Only about 50,000 of those are allowed in because of the limited accommodation up on the mountain.
Oh, I had no idea.
All right. Here's last question, all right? So earlier this month, the Taiwanese government activated a cell tower on the top of Yusan.
I remember that
You
news,
remember that,
yes.
right? Now, this is going to help a lot of emergency services, like locate people who get lost or anybody who needs help. It's going to be that much easier for them to call the authorities. Now, this was a huge undertaking. It took about 20 years and multiple businesses across different sectors. Now, I want to ask you, how much money do you think that one cell tower cost in US dollars?
I think I remember it being around $3 million US dollars.
$3 million US dollars? All right, let's take a look at the answer right here.
Oh, okay,
So
bad memory.
1.37 million, which is a good sum of money. But the most impressive thing was there's not a lot of infrastructure up on Yusan. So they had to hand carry everything up there, and they had to
That's a long ways, over almost 4,000 meters.
Solar
right?
panels, wiring, steel tubes,
That's
everything.
a lot of good exercise.
That's right. And those are the 5 questions I have for you today on
That's
Taiwan by
great.
Number.
Well, thanks a lot. That was a lot of fun. And up next, we'll be taking a look at the National Concert Hall and how they're trying to make art more inclusive.
And now we turn to the performance scene. The National Theatre and Concert Hall recently has been promoting the inclusive arts, which welcome children, seniors, and those with disabilities. Let's see how they're reaching out to a wider audience.
Earlier this summer, the National Theatre and Concert Hall held their first relaxed performance. The goal was to create an environment that was welcoming to all audience members.
Recently, Andrew Ryan spoke with Sandy Yee, who is the accessibility consultant at the National Theatre and Concert Hall. He spoke with her to find out some more.
So for the relaxed performance, we encourage people that if you want to move around, you can. If you need to stand up and even leave, and you can also come back.
That's huge,
yeah,
right?
it's very-
Usually at the National Concert Hall or the National Theatre, once you leave, you have to wait to come back in, or maybe you can't come back in.
Yeah, it's very much about, teaching the audience a new way of channeling in, bringing your whole body, mind in. Like really paying attention to, wait, do I need to come up and stretch, leave my seat and stretch? Can I take a break and come back? And this is a real need for a lot of audience who have autism. One way that folks soothe themselves, maybe rocking, maybe making some sound. And oftentimes we use a very pathological point of view, like, oh, this is abnormal. This is a problem. You need to discipline or behave yourself. But we are actually teaching people to reframe. Hey, this is the way that they are communicating and connecting with the world. So we want them to be so free to do that.
It's amazing how much we are trained to behave in a certain way in a theater setting. You have to be quiet, you can't move, you can't get up and walk around. And that's so antithetical to the way human beings interact in normal life, in the world. So what are some of the things that you prepared in advance for the people that were coming to watch and partake in this relaxed performance?
So we provided stress balls.
That's great. And anybody can take a stress ball? And,
And then canceling headphone.
Noise canceling headphones?
Noise canceling, and then we provided a resting area where they can literally leave and then come back. We have water, we have like pillows and yoga mats.
So how did it go?
So many parents were like, we have never been here before. It was never an option.
The first time maybe even walking into the National Concert Hall for some of them.
So my colleague, when she reached out to an organization, they serve people with multiple disabilities. They were like, hey, we have a show and we want to encourage people to be themselves. They can make noises. And they were like, are you sure? Is this for real? Is this a prank call?
Yeah, right.
They just couldn't believe it because everywhere they go, people stare at them like, what's going on? You're not disciplining your children. They're so weird. They should be in institutions.
And at the National Theater, the National Concert Hall, which is such a formal space, I mean, this is really symbolic that they're willing to do this kind of relaxed performance. And actually, it's a really important thing for them to do.
It is more dangerous if we keep on keeping people away from the arts because of their disability. We're not creating any space for people to make decisions for themselves. Even with like parents, there are literally limited opportunities for them to enjoy arts with their children when you have a special needs or disability. And what we can do as an arts institution is about providing options.
We'll have the full interview up for you on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Next up, let's take a look at what's trending on social media. This week on Hashtag Taiwan, RTI social media guru Leslie Liao tells us what's trending on social media.
All right, let's get right into it. So 4 weeks ago on our August 1st show, I talked about NBA player Jeremy Lin, or I should say former NBA player Jeremy Lin. Now, back then, he said that he felt like he hit rock bottom and that he felt like the NBA had given up on him. Well, the plot has thickened. News came out on the 27th of August that Jeremy Lin had signed a contract to play in Beijing. He has joined the Chinese Basketball Association. More specifically, he has joined the Beijing Ducks team. Now, before anything, let's see what Jeremy Lin has to say about this whole thing.
Beijing.
Now that clip was recorded to TikTok, which is a very popular video app in China. Now let's see what people are talking about in terms of this trade. Now, trade war claims a new victim, says 4Awesome tweet, Jeremy Lin, off to play for the Beijing Ducks. Good luck, Jeremy. Hashtag Linsanity. Now, I don't know if the CBA or the Chinese Basketball Association is in cahoots with the Chinese government, but if they are, and this is geared toward the trade war, that's a very interesting move. There's another Twitter user, however, who has a very happy imagination. Amateur Messiah says, what if Linsanity brings peace to China?
Now that would be nice.
I don't know what peace they're really talking about in this situation, but I found it funny nonetheless. Now, there is one thing that Jeremy Lin's move to Beijing needs to be very mindful of. Timo Brodick 2000 says he is a Taiwanese American. He has to be careful not to take a CCP-led one China stance, otherwise the Taiwanese community here and in Taiwan is going to disown him. Now, I thought that comment was very poignant because we've recently been seeing how China has been leveraging Taiwanese business interests in their country to have them speak in support of what they're doing. Now, we've seen this recently with tea companies, and in the past we've seen this with the Taiwanese Korean pop star Zhou Ziyu and also Taiwanese singer Ah Mei. Lastly, I wanted to see what Taiwanese people were saying about this, and I found a really funny exchange, or not so, depending on where you're standing from, that encapsulates the attitudes that Taiwanese people hold toward Jeremy Lin. Edison Lee says, "The pride of Taiwan no longer has Taiwanese value." And here we go. Li Wei Chen in response says, "What do you mean, pride of Taiwan? He's an American." That's brutally honest.
Well, everyone wants to lay claim to Jeremy Lin. And but I'm happy for him. He got a $3 million contract. That's quite good.
Very popular guy, and the $3 million is more than what he was making in the NBA in his last year. So you can see just from how big that growing Chinese basketball market is that Beijing can just say, "Hey, come play with us. We'll give you $3 million a year." And I'm sure they're going to cover a lot of his setup costs and things like that as well.
Right. He's going to get a lot of publicity as well.
Definitely.
And
definitely.
I know that a lot of NBA players are actually, they like to make the move to China over other markets. So
he's not the first one.
Right.
He's not the first one.
And it's a good fit for him, right? He's got so many fans out there. But we wish him the best, and I'm sure he's going to do great over there. Anyways, that's hashtag Taiwan, and thanks for joining us. Also, please follow us on social media and leave a comment. We would love to hear from you.
Finally for today, where in Taiwan? Now, at the top of our show, we showed you a picture and asked if you knew where it was. Let's have a look at it again.
Okay, this is not a real hamburger stand. Of course, it's a mural, which has become a pretty trendy way to attract visitors to villages all over Taiwan. Where in Taiwan is this? Well, let's take a look at this video.
Welcome to Hanbao Village in Fengyuan Township. Population 3,749. Despite the village's name being a homonym for hamburger in Chinese, there's not a fast food restaurant in sight. Hanbao Village is part of Changhua County in central Taiwan and isn't as busy as urban areas. There aren't any supermarkets, fast food restaurants, or even parks here. However, to attract more visitors and highlight residents' desire for popular chains, the village head hired an artist to paint a drive-thru on a small house. Hanbao Village Chief Zheng Pengfeng says the county government allocated money to beautify the village. He says they want to use their hamburger name as a way to attract visitors. But some are worried that familiar golden arches and other logo imagery might open the doors to legal backlash. However, one legal professional says since the decoration doesn't sell anything, there's no foul play involved.
You know, actually, I hear it's a great time for local Taiwanese to kind of go out there and explore the island. Starting September 1st, apparently there's a lot of subsidies that travelers can take advantage of, including one I heard about, like 1,000 NT for a hotel stay between Sunday and Friday.
That's right. So it's a good time to travel. A lot of little villages that you can check out if you like murals. But we hope you enjoyed this look at Taiwan this week. For Taiwan Insider, I'm Natalie So.
I'm Leslie Liao. See you again next week.